Today's video is brought to you by Oxedo LED lighting. You might think that you can see just fine at night. Well, I did too, until I did this little upgrade. As you can see from this footage, here is some before Oxedo LED lighting, and here is some after Oxedo LED lighting. The difference is amazing. With high brightness and easy installation, Oxedo LED lighting is definitely the route for you. They're easy to install, and they're available for all makes and models. Click on the link in the description below and enter promo code 612motorsports at checkout to get yourself 15% off. Now back to our video. Hello and welcome back to another episode of 612 Motorsports. In today's episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about what makes me a car guy. But before we get too far into that, if you haven't done so already, I'd like to encourage you all to go ahead and hit that subscription button, give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and leave a comment below. So what makes me a car guy, or how I became a car guy? A guy interested in hot rods, classics, new cars, old cars, trucks, anything basically with a motor in it. And it all really started out when I was, born, I guess, would be probably a good starting point. My father collected a lot of hot rods and classic cars, dabbled in that stuff, would buy one, do a few things, sell it, get something else. I also had a couple uncles, my dad's brothers, that were also into cars when they were kids. One of my uncles actually worked in a body shop in high school and shortly thereafter. So it's kind of in the family. They did some drag racing, and I actually have a trophy from one of my uncles who unfortunately isn't here with us anymore. But I have a trophy from him at the Minneapolis drag strip, which is not there anymore. And I want to say, off the top of my head, it's from the 60s, early 60s, so quite a while back. So that was a while back, but yet still it's something that I display, and you know, I take pride in knowing that that kind of heritage is in my family, whether it's just your weekend warrior racing. It was never anything with sponsorships and stuff like that, but anyways. So what really truly makes me personally a car guy versus my father and his brothers and things, it's the fact that when you grow up with stuff like this, or you have this in your driveway, or you come home from school and find 2, 3 of these in your driveway. When you see things like that at a very young, impressionable age, they tend to stick with you. Therefore, I've always had classic cars and motors and things in my past, in my blood, in my system. We've had jet boats with car engines in them. Just, you know, crazy stuff. When you're a kid, you're just like, wow, that is so cool. And actually, here's a couple of pictures of some of the things that I personally remember very well with my dad. Here's a picture of me and a blue Mercury that we had, old lead sled. I can't remember, 49 or 50, one of those years. The 49, 50, and 51 all are very similar except for like tail lights and a little body piece on the hood where the hood meets like the grill area. There's a little slight difference in that. Otherwise, I really have a hard time telling those years apart. And then here's a picture of a delivery that we had that I spent the day cleaning up and wanted to go to the car show. My dad really didn't want to go, but since I had spent the whole day cleaning the thing, we went. He entered it in my name, and lo and behold, I won a trophy. So I my way through this crowd of really tall, big old guys and got my trophy and headed home. Felt pretty good about that. Now, this particular car in this photo, I remember as one of my very earliest car memories. Actually, is probably the earliest car memory that I have. Now, this was a 1955 Chevy Bel Air Nomad, and it happened to be a manual. And I remember cruising around with my dad, and he would let me shift. Obviously, he'd be pushing in the clutch, but he would tell me straight back. So I'd grab the stick and I'd go from third to fourth, or he'd say, okay, straight forward, and I'd push it from fourth to third. Now that's actually the earliest memory of a car, of hot rods that I have, and it's me and my pops and shifting, and honestly that's something I'll never forget. So Dad, I know you're watching, thank you, greatly appreciated, and yeah, love you for it. Speaking of Mercuries and my dad, we were cruising one day on a back highway. The car was so big, it was like literally a living room couch for a front bench seat. So it was my dad driving, me in the middle, and my mom in the passenger seat. And I look down and I see this, I don't know, handle of some kind, and it says overdrive on it. And I pointed at it, nudged the old man, and I said, "What's that do?" And he looks at me and he goes, "You want to see what that does?" Well, he either pulled it out to engage it or pushed it in, whatever. He engaged the overdrive, hammered it. So we're going like 130, 120, I don't know. It was crazy. I was a little kid, and to me, it was like light speed, you know, like in Star Wars or something, when just the stars just come by in streaks. Like, that's what I saw. Road signs and weeds and trees just flying by me as I'm like trying to look up over the dash, right? Kind of scared me a little bit, but it was fun nevertheless. So we're going, I'm kind of nervous, Dad's laughing, Mom's kind of like, okay, you know, you can slow down any time now, would be nice. Well, all of a sudden we fly by a cop over 100 miles an hour. Dad thought for sure we were going to get pulled over. He quick lets off the gas, overdrive off, and the cop kept going. Never turned around, come to get us. Honestly, he probably couldn't catch us at that point. I mean, we were like grease lightning. It was pretty sick. And that's another very, very early memory of mine that I have. So stuff like that, that really gets into your blood and it becomes a part of your DNA. And to be honest with you, there were many years in my early teens where I didn't give two blanks about cars because I had just kind of gotten over it. And the stuff that we did have was so nice that you couldn't touch it, you couldn't breathe on it. I would have to take my shoes off to get in the car and sit basically on my hands and not touch anything. And I honestly couldn't figure out, because I was young and didn't fully understand, it was no fun for me. Plus I was riding bicycle and, you know, skateboarding with my friends and things, and to me that was more fun. But as I got older and started to get, you know, I had friends that were older that started driving before me and things. So once I got my license and me and my group of friends were in that age bracket, well, they kind of started to get more interesting to me because I was able to drive. You know, me and my friends would do some work on their cars, whether it was tinting windows or, you know, turning air cleaner covers over to get a little more power, you know, just dumb kid stuff like that. And that all progressed up to the point where I got my first car, the 78 Super Beetle convertible. I'll put a link to that video up here somewhere. But check that out. So that was my first car, and then things really kind of stemmed from there, kicked off into my love for them again, which carried on now for the last 35 years. So that's kind of how I became a car guy, why I have it in my system. Now I'm going to show you a little montage here. These are just a few of the cars that my dad and I have had over the years. Some of them we had for a month, some for a week, some were sold before we even bought them. So, you know, they come and go so quick, but we've had such a variety over the years that my knowledge for cars has increased significantly, mainly due to owning one, seeing, learning about that particular car and that body style or trim package or whatnot. So I had a lot of fun with that. My dad and I, we would buy cars to resell, and sometimes we would buy stuff and not have to do a single thing to it. Other times we would buy stuff and change up a lot of things. So we would basically knock the ugly out of it or finish it and then resell them. Obviously to make a profit, but to also enjoy the vehicle, to drive something cool and fun, and just to have something different. To me, it was all educational, regardless of what it was. And every car is going to tell you what it wants done to it, what's going to look right, what's not going to look right. Some cars, you put something on and basically the car will slap you in the face and say, hey, dumbass, that doesn't look good on here, and some other vehicles are just screaming like, oh my God, you have to put this on. A car will design itself. A car will accessorize and customize itself if you just stand back and listen to it. Let it tell you what looks good, what doesn't look good. Two, it's always, every person is different. My idea of awesome and cool might not be your idea of awesome and cool, and vice versa. So you want to always kind of try to get into that middle ground to where it's appealing to everybody. That's not always as easy as it is said. So I'm not a big, say Ford fan of the newer stuff, but when it comes to the older stuff, love it. Not so much of an early Chevy fan, but now newer stuff, I won't drive anything but. As you can tell, I'm the S10 guy. But just saying, there's certain things that really grab a person style-wise and whatnot, that makes a big difference. If it's eye-appealing, you're going to gravitate more towards that. I'm going to be starting a new video series here shortly where I go further in depth into a few certain cars that we did have over the years, with maybe some before and after photos, or just a nice photo montage of that particular vehicle, kind of describing a little bit about it. A lot of these, because we've had so many and they've come and gone so quickly, it's kind of hard to remember all of the details of that particular vehicle. So if I don't get everything exactly, right, or give you all the information that you would desire, I apologize for that in advance, because honestly, when you've had 200-300 vehicles, it's kind of hard to remember, motor and tranny setups and things, unless it's something really crazy that sticks out in your mind. I hope you enjoyed today's video. That's just a little look into my past and what makes me a car guy. Well, that's gonna do it for today's video. That's just a quick little look into what makes me a car guy, why it flows through my blood and is definitely ingrained in my DNA. But please leave a comment below. Let me know, what makes you a car person? What set it off for you? To me, it was shifting that Nomad for the first time. Things like that when you're a tiny little kid, very impressionable. Leave a comment below, let me know what you think. And as always, stay positive, work hard, and make it happen.